have presentations. Sheriff's Department? No?
Not here.
Not here?
We are going to have a presentation with the Veterans Memorial.
Sure. Lois?
My name is Lois McManus. I'm with the Grant-Valkaria Community Association. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Veterans Memorial site lately, you'll be surprised. We have finished with the Rosetta Compass in the center of the memorial pad. Mike Pearson with MC Pavers and his crew donated their time in design and install of the compass, and I don't think it could look any better. Soon, Brian Hefner will begin installing the split face concrete walls and 6 vertical monuments along with 6 benches, followed by a couple of concrete areas and installation of concrete steps at the front of the memorial. Today, Dan Fadden has received the railing for the handicap ramp, so fabrication on that will begin shortly. We've also ordered the 6 split life-size bronze soldier, military dog, battlefield cross, bald eagle, and 6 service emblems with the arrival sometime in early September. This would not have been made possible without the generous help from Dan and contractors listed on the sponsor board out in the front. The continuous contributions and sponsorships we receive from the community and businesses is just overwhelming. When GVCA initially presented the project to the town council about a year ago, we estimated a 3-year plan. As I stand here today, we are hoping to have a ribbon cutting this November, thanks to the sponsorships and donations coming in both under budget and under the time limit. We still have items we need to finish the project, and GVCA will continue to sell the memorabilia, the bricks, and we also have a bicycle, electric bicycle that we're selling, and we will raffle that off in November at the town Christmas lighting ceremony. We'll have, GVCA will also have Christmas ornaments honoring the Veterans Memorial Park, which should arrive the end of April, and they will be $10 each. I know it's a ways off, but we'll have the golf tournament again October 25th, along with the golf ball drop, which those sticks will be $10 as well. Upcoming events will be posted in the news channel, email that Mandy periodically sends out, in the Bugle, and of course outlets on the World Wide Web. In closing, in March, the Veterans Memorial received the following donations. Cody Pearson with Advanced Lawn Service has offered to donate all landscaping for the Veterans Memorial Park. Classic Kitchens has offered to donate all the granite for the benches and the wall caps. Dan Fadden, of course, has donated his time to fabricate and install the handicap ramp and railing. Bill Lewis, a Grant citizen, has donated a 25-foot flagpole. Leonard Herndon today donated the 2nd flagpole. So, with all of that going on, we're doing really well. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, thank you. We've put our first brick order in of 123 bricks, and we'll get those in about 6 weeks. So we've started our second order of bricks. So that takes care of that. So now, can I continue? Do I still have time? Okay. I would like to ask Susan Clark, the GVCA Vice President, Susan Wybrew, GVCA's Treasurer, Patty Poppy, our Secretary, to please come forward. And I'd like to take a few minutes to thank our mayor, Lizette Kohler. Prior to becoming mayor, she was the president of GVCA and has been the heartbeat of GVCA for 19 years. She has been instrumental in every viable part of the amenities that she has and continues to make up our wonderful town since 2006. She has made sure that if GVCA could help, we did. If she wasn't raising money for an event or an amenity, she was shaping an event for the betterment of our town. She orchestrated the GVCA like a fine-tooth comb. She made it look so easy and always made it a win for the town of Grant-Valkaria. As she resigns from GBCA and I take her place, I will know it's a tall order to fill. GBCA will continue to bring amenities to the town and ask the citizens of Grant-Valkaria to support GBCA when they can. So Lizette, we have something for you, so if you would come down. We have gotten a plaque for Lizette that states, Outstanding Leadership and Recognition Award, presented to Lizette Kohler for your 19 years of unwavering commitment to Grant-Valkaria Community Association. We present this prestigious award to you.
Oh, Jason. He's behind us. Come on, Jason.
All right. Thank you. I didn't either. I had looked it up.
Well, thank you very much, ladies, and I can't say enough about that group. They just, you know, and it's changed. It's just, there's a few people that have gone and come and gone. But I know Susan Clark has been there since day one. She's
not that old.
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. We started out doing Grant-Valkaria Day and the Christmas tree lighting ourselves, and finally the town took over. But we just want to do things that brings everybody together, and it's getting better and better. So thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys. No more of that stuff. All right. Yeah, you did. Okay. Any changes to the agenda?
I do have one. We're going to add trails and greenway maps, and we'll make it number 1A.
Oh, one under new business?
Yes.
Okay, 1A. Trails and greenways. Okay. Anybody else? Anything? No? Okay, consent agenda. I think there was minutes from the council meeting of March 12th. Anybody want to open that up for discussion? And then I did make one correction that you got.
Yes, and I made that change.
Okay. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay.
Motion to pass consent agenda. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comments. I have one card from Richard Dockery.
How you doing? Richard Dockery. I'd like to have a small conversation on the Veterans Memorial. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm also a military collector. I think the memorial is awesome. I think the whole design of it, the location with the tree, everything about it is great. But there's one area that I think should be considered for a minor change, and that has to do with the statue, the 6-foot soldier statue. When I look at the statue, what I'm noticing is that from the helmet to the boots, the entire uniform is not U.S. uniform. It does not represent a U.S. soldier. The helmet's wrong, the gear's wrong, the vest is wrong, even the boots are wrong. Everything about it is typical of what you see in militaries around the world, but not what you see on U.S. soldiers in any of the branches during any of the era. I think while it's still in clay form, it's an opportunity to have changes made. And I think if we don't make changes to it, we're not honoring our veterans, honoring our soldiers, because it's truly not representative of what you'll see in any of U.S. branches. What you do see there is unfortunately typical of a lot of the communist forces you find around the world, particularly those supplied by China, and a lot of it is what Chinese soldiers are wearing. So whoever's creating the statue, I think we need to address it with them for a design change. Otherwise, it's not going to do the honor we expect it to do.
Anybody else? I don't have any more blue cards.
I'll fill it out after.
Hello there, Ned Batchlupo. I'll just tell you all my details, 3310 Grant Road, Grant, Florida. I received a little love letter in the mail a few days back here. It says here, the town sent me this. It says that I've been served. Not sure what that, certificate of service. Not sure what this is about. Something about Kelly A. McMahon and Matthew Roldenkamp, which I assume is related to Mahesh Shah, the guy who wants to build a gas station on my road and turn it into an extension of Palm Bay and make it into a commercial zone instead of a residential zone with horses and farms. So it's basically what we've been fighting about since November, just extended on. To me, it looks like, the public officials here and the 3 elected ones and the rest of them that were appointed are passing the buck on to the general public. It just doesn't seem right. It seems to me a malfeasance and a dereliction of duty. The people, elected officials' job is to fight for the people and what was decided by you all, whether you liked it or not personally. It was what the petition said. 1,000+ people before we pulled the plug on it signed a petition against turning Grant Road into basically an extension of Palm Bay, which we all live here because we absolutely, I'm speaking for myself, I absolutely hate Palm Bay. I avoid driving there, I avoid going there, I stay away from it. We don't want the crime, we don't want the troubles, we don't want to live in a city. We live in a town of 4,500 people. It's horse country. Everybody I know loves it out here, and we just want to keep it the way it is so we don't have to move. So that's the general thing there. I did sign the thing. I'm willing to, it says participate. I don't know what, it doesn't say a time, a place, a location, any other details, so I don't know what I'm committing to by saying participate. Is there a time, date, location, anything? What am I committing to? I don't know what I'm committing to, but I signed it anyway just because I'd like to follow through with my word, getting everyone to sign a petition, and then I'm going to back out like a wimp. That makes me look like a word I'm not going to say right now. And then basically, here it is. I'm going to submit it. I'm going to give it over here, and you guys all know my my details. I'll fill out a blue card. Ned Batchlupo, the man you love to hate.
Okay, anyone else? No? Yeah, you're gonna fill them out later.
Lois McManus, 4058 Gardenwood Circle. To the response to the gentleman that was just up here regarding the soldier, we have a Veterans Committee of 8. I didn't pick the soldier, they picked the soldier. They were all of them wanted this soldier. So, I don't know what to tell him. If he doesn't like it, don't come and see it. It's not done, it's not been bronzed yet. The pictures he evidently saw is the mold, but like I said, the veterans picked the soldier. We went through several soldiers, a lot of them were copyrighted, so we couldn't use them. And this was basically, is in several memorials around the country. So, I don't know what to tell him, but if he doesn't like it, sorry. It's a little too late because it's already for what's the name of the place? To Europe for you, or whatever. Yeah, for molding and getting bronze. So the veterans chose him, not me, not GVCA, the Veterans Committee.
Thank you.
I just wanted to set that straight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, anyone else? Move on to new business. Okay, resolution.
No, this is gonna be the 1A.
Oh, we're doing that first. Okay, put it after. Okay. Yeah. All right.
A1.
There you go. Okay. Trails and greenways.
presentation that the Trails and Greenways Committee is gonna provide to you guys.
Okay.
You have your vice chair, Ashlyn Crotty, your chairperson, Jade Martin, and committee member, Walter Wybrew. And I believe that's all from the Trails Committee.
Yes, and then, you know, we do have some wonderful volunteers, Dave Fang and Debbie Fang, they have been helping us out tremendously, and some of their work will also be presented. So, Walt is just passing everyone out a copy of our current trail map, for reference as we go through this. So, we just wanted to do, Ashlyn Crotty, Vice Chair to the Southeastern Greenways Committee, we wanted to do a,
You have to get it close to it. There you go.
test, all right. So we wanted to do a committee report and then, move into a request for funding for, new maps. And then you can just go ahead and scroll through. Here, go to the next page, please. Perfect. So, you know, overview, over the past year, we've been really working on restructuring. We have some proposed projects ideas that we've been throwing around, looking at things like blue trails, looking at local boat ramps, areas in Goat Creek, and going around barrier islands. We've looked at a new idea that was presented during our last meeting. There is a utility easement, you know, running through kind of off Hideaway Lane at an angle towards Old Dixie Highway and Eels Land there that we've looked at potential trails. In the past, we've spoken about doing a boardwalk through the wetlands area here in Town Hall. That was something that, you know, our past mayor, Dale, was very interested in doing. And then, you know, we've got the South Brevard Linear Trail that's been pending for an engineer study. We've looked at, you know, doing benches and different things for, you know, recreation, relaxation along Leghorn. Of course, wildlife signs. We just got our new signs in and they look fantastic. Those were displayed at Grant-Valkaria Day. We have not installed them yet, but it's coming. And then, you know, other projects looking at being recognized as a Florida Trail Town. Now, all those projects look great. We do have one small issue. We currently have the trail map that you guys see here. This was made by one of our volunteers. It is in a PDF format and it is not able to be edited. So while we do have a lot of great ideas on the table and we have been working on restructuring this past year, what we're looking at now is, well, we really can't move forward until we have a solid foundation. Looking at the existing map, and I'm going to jump around a little bit. But looking at the existing map, you can see, I mean, it looks good, but it certainly needs to be more detailed and user-friendly. Now, as far as continuing on of, you know, our committee update, we, you know, have some ideas for sponsorships and funding in the future. We've spoken about having local businesses sponsor trails. We're currently working on a logo, kind of mimicking the current town, you know, seal, but then doing a logo and being able to do stickers, things like mugs, shirts, trying to raise money, and then also trail treats. We've made some stuff for the Christmas tree lighting and stuff like that. So, you know, we've got some ideas about raising money and doing funding. Some of our activities that we've done this year and previous years, we have the newsletters, Species Spotlight. We've done the annual town photo contest that we have our beautiful winner displayed in the back, and that has been a big hit. Grant-Valkaria Day, coming out doing activities, Christmas tree lighting. The bike-led tour has been fantastic. We had a lot of positive feedback. We're working on potentially doing more educational tours with the Town Connector Trail, and then, you know, information things at the farmers market and stuff like that. All right, now you gotta go back up. Sorry. So circling back around, after doing all of these activities and restructuring, we currently have about $400 left in our account for the remaining fiscal year. That's for the allocated funds. We also have received a generous donation a couple years ago from the GVCA to our general funds to work on these projects. So we have about $2,300 in that. Our current proposal from BSE Consultants is for up to $4,000 for the creation of new trail maps. So what we would like to request for the council is to allocate up to that $4,000 or do a cost share for $2,000 for us to get going on these new maps. And I think it would be beneficial not just for the trail committee itself, but also as the town as a whole, because what we're looking at here is not just doing, you know, our non-motorized trails, but we also wanted to incorporate some of the sidewalks. We want to incorporate the putter trail. We want to show people, you know, what the town has to offer for recreational and outside activity that is safe for, you know, us to bike and walk and golf cart or what have you. So, you know, that's it. If you could scroll down a little bit. Perfect. So this is the proposal that we received from BSC Consultants. I will say right now, we did not shop around because the town has been working with BSC for about a decade now, and they already have some of our existing maps and files, and we are set up with them. I want to stick with the same vendor that we've been working with for so long. So we did go directly with them. Jessica, Jason, and I, we all met with them later in March. And this is the proposal that we came up with. What they would be doing is creating an overall map view of the town with our, you know, layers. Currently, as you can see on the town map, you're going to see a lot of green. That's all Eels land. We're looking for a different transparency where we're still having satellite images, but, you know, something that's a little bit more visually friendly for us to have for use. Also showing the town limit, showing existing sidewalks, existing trails, and notably on there is not proposed trails. One issue that we've had a couple times with public comments during our committee meeting is residents asking us to remove this Braddock Trail. It is a private drive. It is not a public right-of-way. Unfortunately, this is placed on the map as an existing trail, and we do not currently have a way to remove it because this is not an editable version. So there is a little bit of, that does need to be resolved. Having this trail map, we'll have a larger one for us to work with within the committee where we'll be able to develop proposed trails and work as a foundational map. But we also plan, if you could scroll down a little bit, to the trail maps. That's their fee schedule. You guys have seen that. And then that's what we're looking at. So this is a map that, you know, probably the best map we have, and I don't even know where this is located, but this kind of has a better picture of our sidewalks, some of our mixed use. It shows the town connector and it shows the general idea of where we were having the putter trail, but it doesn't give a whole lot of detail that somebody could pick it up from a kiosk and then, you know, feel confident to walk down the trail. If you could scroll down a little bit. So this is a beautiful rendition of our town hall showing the, you know, the lakes and the different trails in this area. BSC has offered to do something similar to this breakout trail session that shows from town hall into the town connector and the putter trail, which is where we did our bike lit tour. This is something that a lot of our residents have said, I'd love to get out there, but I'm not sure I want to go by myself, and I don't know exactly where these are located. So I do believe that this is going to be a big benefit to everyone to have a little more confidence and know exactly where they're gauged. So we can get something that looks very similar to our existing to keep building off that foundation. If you could scroll down a little bit. So this is kind of our Google Maps of what it will look like once we get the larger one, but as you can see, that's what we're working with. And then Jason, if you could just scroll down just a little bit more. This photo is of the Grant Sanctuary that our volunteer David has graciously made for us. And this is awesome. One way that we can do a little cost savings is by going out and biking ourselves and making the maps ourselves. So we can certainly incorporate parts like this that maybe aren't closer to town hall. But at the same time, I don't want to be in a position where I'm asking my volunteers who maybe have different levels of skill sets when it comes to using Google Earth and these different platforms, and then as people move in and out of the committee, we would be losing some of that, basis. So I think it is really important that at this time, we do go ahead and invest in foundational maps, and we'll be able to build off of those, and then, be able to build future projects, and hopefully it will benefit the residents and the town as a whole, showing multi-use trails, not just town connector.
And I will add that, as you can see, the pattern of what our committee has done has been community engagement. Engaging our community to explore our town, enjoy our town, appreciate our town. And so maps are fundamental, not only for residents, but for anyone who's coming through and considering this area, and also connecting us to other local, to the north and to the south of us. If we don't have accurate maps to engage people and allow them to appreciate and understand what it is that our town offers, this has been the sticking point that we've had for years, because again, we've had different individuals work on these maps, but then if they come or they go and we lose the contact with these, original files, then we can't edit them, and so we're constantly just spinning our wheels, recreating maps, and not really moving forward to be able to connect the maps and create a beautiful representation of what our town has to offer.
And we should be giving this to Brevard County as they're developing
Exactly.
their inland trails maps to show them, because currently, as we saw during, when they came to town, that map had the town connector over here, and that map had the town connector over here, and it would be nice for us to be able to say, hey, this is our town, this is what we have, please represent us correctly. So that would be another thing. Do you guys have any questions?
Are you proposing these are big maps?
So the proposal is they're going to create a larger scale overview
Digital.
map. And one is going to be like printed, a couple for us to use in the committee to work off of. Now, we're going to create a new trifold. It's a little bit dated, we're going to update some of the language, add a new description. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a large map that's a little more user-friendly here, but then also have that pull-out section that shows, here's Town Hall, and then here's the Town Connector and the Putter's Trail.
Okay.
So that is the initial proposal, to make a larger scale map and then have these two pull-out sections for more user-friendly direct access to the trail. And then we will restock these in our kiosks. As a price-saving tactic, we can print everything here. They'll do the design for us and everything, so we are looking at ways for cost savings in that sense, and of course, incorporating some of our maps that we've made ourselves if possible.
I know that VSC has made a town map for us before. You guys have a street map, so maybe they can start with that. But you do need streets, because the trails follow rights of way to the streets. So, but then you want kind of like a Google Earth thing map, or not, or like the.
So the map that we've proposed will be similar to what we have here, but a little bit less detailed as far as the aerial. It's going to take out this eels land and make it less transparent. We want to know when we're going on private property, obviously, but it's visually not something that you're going to be able to use on a recognizable level. So they're going to pull out some of these proposed trails. The Grant sidewalk there that's identified, obviously will be shifted a little bit to show the larger view, and it'll show sidewalks, it'll show boat ramps, it'll show our existing trails, motorized and non-motorized. It'll show, and then from there, it'll have a pull-out section that shows here's the town hall, and then a similar rendition for here's the town connector and putter. Future would be getting into Grant Sanctuary, but rather than spending that money right now, we're working on kind of doing that as a side project, and then also something we could potentially get directly from Eels and not have to spend our own funding on. So it is an up to 4,000. Hopefully it wouldn't be that much. I was a little concerned with the pricing because they do have existing maps for the trails
Yeah.
grant. Or excuse me, maps for the town
They
grant.
do, yeah.
So, they're up to, I think, was the key there, but as we, work with them and.
Maybe it'll be less.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah,
And the maps will, of course, be a format and file that the town can access and use for multiple purposes. So there'll be a base, like, the street map kind of style, but then there could be overlays showing trails, showing, blue ways, showing eels lands. So, any other applications that you would have, this is again, a foundational map for the town to use in multiple purposes.
and then when we have proposed trails, we don't have to, we can have that for meetings, but we don't need that printed so that everyone comes in and says, oh my gosh, you've got my private road on your trail map.
Right,
So-
right.
You do this, but make sure you prevent one to hang over there up here in town.
Sure.
When people walk in, say, where are the trails?
Exactly.
Point to the map, and say, here's the trail, you can look at it somewhere, hang it somewhere in town, something like our map we have there now.
Right. And also posted in the kiosks.
Right. But, good size one, if you make the big one of the big ones, make sure to make a big one that we can frame to the wall.
Yeah, because we would get a bigger printout for the kiosk, and then of course make new ones to put in at each trailhead. But yeah, we could certainly look into having one that we can print and put here, and then maybe even having, a metal sign like we're doing to have up at the front of the town, something like this, so that, hey, here's town hall and all the things you can do right here, and then, hey, here's also the deeper trails over there. But that's exactly what it's about, just letting people know where the trails are and how to access them safely.
Right, so we have to have something to help people wandering around.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't even know the trails exist.
Yes, right, so the map is here, to come into this building.
And they know about the town connector, but they're here, and they're like, how do we get there? So
Yeah.
to explain where you have to go to is confusing. Right.
Dan?
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys. You guys done a great job doing trails, working with it, and educating. I definitely support this. I do have a question. Well, you're actually the town committee, Trails and Greenways Committee, so yes, you'll support the town, but I'd like to see it just run through. The committee does the work, but run through either Jason or back to the council. I do have a concern about taking out eels viewing, because you're making it look like just roads and open areas on a larger map. I'd like to know where there is and what's isolated and what's out. I don't want to make it, it's distracting, I can say at one point, but it's also good that people know where they are. So I would be in favor of keeping the eels, even changing the contrast. And also confirming that any maps that you have made that will put in also are all checked out, that we don't get on private property.
Right.
That someone isn't saying this is a good route, but we,
Right.
town, we sponsor on private property. So as long as those two areas, yes, I'd be in favor of up to the 4,000 for good maps.
And Dan, one thing that was a discussion that we had with them, doing a different transparency for the seals land, because we want to make sure people know where their boundaries are and where they're allowed to access, but, making that transparency layer different so that they can adjust it. And this will be things that we can verify before we say print, but making sure that it's something that.
And people are allowed on Eels Land as long as it's passive recreation.
Yes.
I mean, you can walk and ride a bike and
Right, so in those areas, they know they're in.
they're okay, yeah. So that's, yeah, it's kind of good information for them to know if they're on Eels Land, it's okay as long as they're walking or riding a bike.
Essentially, we have a hard time, looking at the map that's there.
Right.
You can't really
Not
say,
this side.
I'm on
No.
the
Right.
line that's in between the property
Right.
or not. And any map we generate is not gonna be that level of detail unless it was something you could zoom in and out on.
But again, it's a digital map to start with, so if BSC is providing us with that, and that is some sort of function we put on the website or something like that, that's down the road, but you can see those layers and focus in and zoom in to have a better idea of where you're at.
And we're all in agreement. I think that's the I just had a few things. Again, thanks to reiterate what Dan said, because you guys are doing what everybody in this town came to this town for, which is having being outside, right, walking through trails and stuff. So we really appreciate the work that you guys have done. That was kind of like what my thought was at having a way to edit it, right? So the other thing would be, could we potentially have a first draft, something like that brought out where we go, hey, because you think about it, there's more ideas brings a better map, right? Like, well, hey, I like this, but maybe we should think about doing this, because my thought is that somebody comes into the town and they're not from the town, but they want to walk our trails. Absolutely. If I saw this, I would say I have no idea what the green blocks are versus not, right? Like, so have something where you go, somebody that has no idea about this town, they come into town and say, okay, I look at my map and there's like a legend, and I go, okay, I get an idea of approximately, right? We're not going to know exactly what the hills and stuff, but that's what we can have this brainstorming potentially, where we can consider. But I'm totally for making the new map, and that's what I thought is we're going to have, once we have more trails that come up, or we have trails that we like, oh, we have to restrict access to those, then we can go back to it and say, hey, we need to make this small change, right? And now we don't have PDF files like in people's personal computers that have got lost, right? I think that's. I just want to make sure I covered everything. Are you guys? This is kind of a side note. You guys haven't had any issues with ATVs?
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll take that in a sidebar, but I was just personally curious.
I will say that I don't believe we've had as many issues as we've had in the past lately. Since we put the new fencing along the trail, it seems to have really deterred a lot. We have had a couple of issues with people ripping signs out and throwing them and things like that, but I think overall the ATV issue has declined a little bit, which is fantastic. And I think that a lot of that could improve too by having more people be able to access these areas and make them not feel so restricted. And Hill's property is for all of us. It's not for a specific couple of people, and we all need to treat it equally like that. And as far as your first comment, let me circle back. We can certainly start doing the proposals and then bring them back to the town to present, to do edits, because of course, if you guys are cost sharing, we want to make sure that this is representing the town as a whole. We're not just doing, trails and greenway maps. I want something that's going to work for everybody. I want to show sidewalks. I want to show, this town hall has just grown incredibly. So I want to make sure to showcase that, and I want to make sure that everyone in the town is able to use these. So your comments, you guys are going to see something that maybe us, people that are out playing in the woods wouldn't notice. So it'll definitely be good. When we could come back to the next town meeting, if everything goes smoothly here and we start getting the drafts, if you guys had somebody specifically that you wanted to have check out a meeting or do a committee, or for us just to send it for your approval, we can set that up.
Go ahead, Tom.
How easy would it be to, while this is where we probably need to get into it, as you design this, can you make it also, I guess, term would be digitally, so people can access it electronically? Because more and more, you young kids, people are using, like you said, the Google Earth on handheld.
It comes down to, this is another reason we're requesting funds to do a professional map maker. Because again, it will reside with the town, and as the town changes, you can add or subtract things from it, like adding on the memorial, adding on the town hall. Our little map here, this little cartoonish thing, indicates the ponds and
It has a
walkway,
key.
but it doesn't have the features of our town that make the heart and soul of the town. And so having a professional company providing that, that's updated from the one that's on the wall, but essentially showing different layers with streets on it, with fields on it, with some town hall on it, in addition to the actual trails, is the ultimate goal. Again, we have to go back and forth with BSE on pricing and how many layers and all of that, but we have to have a starting for, a point
I
first.
think Tom's question was, can you have it?
And that's another layer,
Yeah,
whether or not we can
Can you start that
access
in
it to
time?
the
Well,
community
Let's not get
digitally.
way through it and go,
And then
gee,
go back.
what should we have done in the very beginning to make this more adaptable to an electronic
Exactly.
basis?
Exactly.
I think that's something we need to think about.
Agreed.
Tom reminded me of the other question I wanted to ask. And have you guys heard of All Trails?
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, so have you, I mean, I don't know how that
we
works.
talked about that the other day. and-
Okay,
and
cool.
Putting them there would probably be more useful than almost any other.
That's what I was just thinking, we can work, I don't know how even that works, but we could work through them, and then what would be kind of cool, we could actually put like a phone, what do they call those? Thank you, QR code on the actual flyer, and put it on that, and then it updates, or puts the All Trails on your phone, which would be kind of cool. And then it's like real time, you don't worry about eels, there's a GPS location, and you're like, oh, I can't go that way, I thought I was on the trail, I'm not along the trail. So it'll make it a little bit easier.
I do want to circle back to Tom. There are intellectual property rights involved with map naming. So while we will, own the products that they make, we will need to pay for them to make adjustments. So, if we decide to do a blue trail, obviously we're gonna, go back to them and have them take the base map and then add new layers and create new sections and then do another pool out there. That would be a different project down the road that we would come present. As far as, the details of the ownership and ability to edit, that is something that is kind of, quite frankly, it's boilerplate language. That legal strategy, I don't think that's gonna change regardless of which company you work with. So, there are gonna be, we're not gonna have our volunteers or our committee members do the edits for the map. We'll be able to make different base maps with different layers showing what we wanted to show and have things for internal use and external presentation. But any major new maps or edits or things, that will have to go through DSEs, which again is why when we were looking at who we want to work with us, we want to work with a company that has been working with the town for about a decade that we have a good relationship with. So that was our consideration there.
Okay, I guess we'll take some comments from the public on this.
It was one question that you just answered at the end there was, right now you have a PDF. The deliverable from DSE is also an uneditable document from you unless you have some software to turn layers on and off.
Right, so civil data, like from GIS, is widely usable, and
So
some of it you can use on.
You have access to that software.
And see, that's where one of the issues comes up, because yes, I can, download Google Earth, I have Google Earth Pro, you can input those layers, but that's where, it's wide use access. Most engineering firms have them, a lot of people in the general public do have them, but our thing is to not have these files limited to one or two members, where it's actually in a more centralized place being worked on.
Yeah, I like the idea. I just recently, I've lived here for a long time, and just recently did the whole trail for the first time with my wife on bikes, and the map did nothing.
Right.
We actually took a picture of the words at the kiosk.
Yes.
That actually gave us directions on where to turn. So the words that are there actually do a lot more than the map. But I guess my concern was with BSE. Is there a way that you can request to them that, I don't know if the format that they'll deliver to you can be uploaded into Google Earth. As far as to make it so that you can turn layers on and off in the future, to be able to create the maps, to create the trifolds and wall art.
And I don't believe it will be. I believe that when we need major edits like that, we're gonna have a couple renditions of the trails for our use, but if we need, to put on new layers or look at different aspects, I think that's gonna have to go through DSE. And that is the thing, I mean, this is where we're taking a step and we're saying, okay, we're gonna get professional, people to work with us rather than relying on us. And I'm not saying we can't do it. We have had fantastic volunteers and we've been working on it. I just believe that as we're looking at some of those proposed projects that we've been working at and becoming a Florida trail town, and these are things that at some point you've got to jump up to that next level of professionalism. So there are downsides to it. And
Yeah, I think what I was kind of my question was more along the lines of asking BSE to change their deliverable to make it so that not so that you can edit lines and stuff, so that you have the ability to turn layers on and off. So they're delivering a map with 10 different layers
Right.
on it.
And that's something that we'll have to ask them.
I know it's possible. I'm just saying I have a little background in it. I know that you can ask them.
No, it is. And one of our committee members who was not able to be here tonight, that was one of his concerns. He says, well, how much ability are we going to have to edit this? And we really need to go through the contract terms. We haven't made any decisions yet on whether we're going to move forward with this proposal and in what detail we're going to move forward with this proposal. We're asking for the allocation of the money so that we can have a more serious conversation, but we haven't we're still in the research and development stage.
Jason, we don't have GIS or any of that stuff. Do we ever plan to get that? When we have the zoning maps online, or is that too expensive?
It's in the process now of creating the GIS zoning maps, so it'll populate all the properties and you'll be able to click on them and then see the zoning and what allowable uses in those maps.
Does that tie in with this at all?
It possibly could.
So that maybe we could update it that way if we have GIS?
GIS is a subscription, like you can purchase it and put the software on your computer and use it. And I believe that you can use it, public can use it, not quite as advanced, the features on Google Earth or Google Earth Pro. So, but I'm not sure about what the intellectual property rates are as far as making major edits to maps that they've created in some of these cases, because they are engineering and designating roads for their name to be on something and then us to do it. So
Well, I guess that's something you need to discuss with BSC when you get down to that.
I'm not sure that the $4,000 will cover getting into the GIS mapping. Just because they did the town stormwater, and that was all on Google Earth and with multiple layers, turn them on and off and so forth. And it was a whole lot more than $4,000. But it's something that we can work towards, and like Jason said, they're working towards right now the zoning maps and land use maps and that type of thing on a GIS format. So it's very possible whatever you come up with today could be taken into and converted into the GIS database for Google Earth. I think personally, I think the 4,000 would be well worth it, and I would definitely support it. It's a start. And that's what we need right now. And I like the idea that we'll have a professional mapper that can, I found in the past, I've worked with BSE since 1986, between West Melbourne and here. And, the nice thing about them is once they do a job for you, to bring them back in to add something to it is relatively inexpensive and can usually be turned around fairly quickly. So I like the idea of using a professional. I think the $4,000, Jason, you have engineering funds budgeted that when I was manager, we rarely hit the amount budgeted. So I think, that would be a great use of the funds.
Yeah, I think just to add what Tim was saying, like he's like, I didn't even use the map. That same thing. I look at the map. For me, it's not. I mean, I get a general idea, but I could look at Google Maps on the phone and kind of get an idea, of where I need to go. So that's the idea. That's the reason why. That's the main reason why I think that editing, even if we just do something basic, start off with something basic, but it's easy to look. It's easy for somebody to comprehend, especially somebody that maybe is not just visiting, right? And that's a starting point, right? And that was the other reason why I said let's maybe bring it up to city council. The only reason why I'm thinking that is just, again, more heads are better than one, right? Because you have different ideas. You go, hey, this is confusing me. I don't understand what we're trying to say here. So, like I said, I'm for it. Definitely for it.
Okay,
Make a motion that we approve the $4,000.
Second.
Are we done with public comments?
No, we had one person, I think, Dan. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I was just gonna point out here, so this is my house, and you've got some kind of a trail, and you're leading these people into what I call the danger zone, my backyard. Is this some kind of a highway? It looks like a straight line. Now normally it's all curvy, whatever, but why are these people gonna come tiptoeing through the tulips here, and show up in my backyard all of a sudden? That's not gonna be very pleasant for them.
I am so glad that you asked that question, and this is exactly why we need new trail maps, to remove this proposed trail so that people are not concerned about us unauthorizing, telling our residents to access somebody's backyard. So that is exactly why we need new
And
trail.
could I also add,
Make your case better.
could I also add, we have a lot of Palm Bay ATV riders out there in that area, and they recently are enforcing no ATVs in the compound. So Palm Bay, in essence, the 135,000 person city of nightmares, is sending all those ATV riders and dumping them on us. And they're sending them into this place because we don't have a police department.
We get it. This is a different topic.
We got
Whenever I was
Same thing. It's not a different topic.
I
It's the
was
same
talking
thing.
about ATVs, and then
Same
I
thing.
said we'll talk about it another
Okay,
time.
guys, all right.
No, this is the time.
We have a motion on the table, okay? We have a motion, and do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any more discussion from the council? All those in favor? Oh, go ahead. Wait a minute, Dan.
I just would like to say just briefly, as you go through with BSE, also have the resource of the town lawyer on legal too, and feel free to go to Jason to ask a question to the lawyer for your resources.
For the intellectual property stuff.
Intellectual property.
Thank you for that, because that is one of the concern areas that we're not so familiar with.
And once you get, you're gonna talk details, so you make sure you get these details, like, for instance, if you can have,
Like language in the contract too, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can make it so
yeah,
you can't have a.
Right.
can we get preliminary, like you were asking, preliminary maps that we can look at and change, and I don't know if you wanna go down to look and see if we can get it on a mobile, or maybe you guys can look into using the All Trails or whatever, so it's accessible on mobile devices. But that may not be BSE, but, just, Jason will go over the contract with you, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay? All right, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And thank you all so much.
Thank you guys for your time and your
Thank you.
consideration. Thank you. And you guys can keep these old trail maps. The ones coming soon.
This is the Marlboro land. Okay, all right, Jason. Resolution 07-2025, a resolution of the town of Grant-Valkaria, Brevard County, Florida, amending budget resolution number 06-2025 for fiscal year October 1, 2024 through September 30, 2025, by changing certain amounts shown as anticipated revenues resulting in an overall increase of $93,541.17, and certain amounts shown as anticipated expenditures resulting in a like amount, providing for an effective date. Ms. Jessica?
This budget amendment is requested to increase the overall budget by $93,541.17. These funds will be utilized to pay the contractor for the completed work on Jelliston Place and to reimburse the owner the remaining balance of funds they originally remitted to the town for construction.
Anyone have any comments on this? Okay, council? Let's see. Oh, wait a minute,
One
Dan.
question. Jason, this is the one that coming off Perry, right?
Yes,
That he did, and he was a contractor, correct?
that is correct.
Do you remember what his bid was? No, I'm I'm just curious from the fact that, I thought it was around 60 or
I think it was
70,000.
like 68 maybe.
Right, I'm thinking
Yeah.
68, so the question, so the added funds, is that's remittance to him, or that's because of he didn't meet our standard, he had to do more than he thought?
We always charge more upfront,
So this is
a
the,
contingency fund.
Yeah,
so
the
so we're
20%.
refunding the contingency plus
Yes.
okay, just to be clear.
Yeah, we do a 20% contingency.
Okay, yeah, that
Just in case something has to be
But it was,
fixed.
right, and it ran through our engineering and it ran through, so, okay, thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept resolution 0-2025.
Dan and Tom? Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a letter of support requested by the city of Palm Bay. Jason, you want to talk about that? That's what's next, right? Yep.
So the city of Palm Bay is requesting a letter of support from the town. They submitted a federal appropriation funding request to Congressman Mike Harrod office to complete the required project development and environmental PD&E elements along Interstate 95 from north of State Road 514, which is Malabar Road, to south of St. John's Heritage Parkway. The city of Palm Bay believes that this project would benefit the city of Palm Bay and the town of Grant-Valkaria. They provided the document summarizing the federal appropriation request, which is approved by the City Council on February 6, 2025. The TPO has already voted and approved this. It's been in front of them. They're looking to do the study to 6-lane 95. So that's what they're looking for, support from the surrounding towns and cities that it's going to affect. So they asked the mayor to write a letter, so it has to come in front of council for y'all's decision.
I say we do that at the 4-lane Babcock first.
Amen.
I think this is way down the road now, right, Jason, or is it?
Every project they do is way down the road.
Yeah, is it still in that PD&E phase? They're still designing it? Yeah. So it's, hopefully Babcock will be, I don't know, that meeting I went to sounded like Babcock wasn't going to be done till about 40 years from now. So I don't know. What do y'all, comments? About, and this, this is, it's not going to affect our towns, right? We're not going to do anything in our town. We have to pay no money. It's just a letter of support. Because, you know that Malabar exit is a terrible, it is a death trap. And they really need, I don't know about the 6-lane, but I know
They need to fix that.
They need to fix that. So, I'm okay with this. It's not going to affect us.
I would support sending the letter since we're not committing anything.
Right. We're not committing anything. Anyone else? Jason, do you need a motion or no motion? Okay. All right, so everyone's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen for a long time.
Okay. Jason, let's see, letter of support, cost certification of Jealous in Place. This was a road that, we just talked about it, the owner built, and this is, we're certifying what the cost of this corrects. Okay? All right, Jason.
And Jealous Place is located west of Perry Road and passed final inspection on February 27th, 2025. In accordance with the ordinance of 2008-01, the town council must certify the actual cost of such road improvements. The total cost for the improvement of Jealous Place is $81,104.78. Prior to obtaining a driveway permit or building permit, the owner of any property abutting the road will be required to pay the town to pro rata share of the cost of construction in the amount of $20,276, which will reimburse the applicant. Under no circumstance shall this agreement to collect reimbursement last more than 15 years from February 27th, 2025.
So how would property owners pay back? Can they pay back in their taxes, or they have to give us the $20,000?
They would pay us in full the $20,276, and then we would
Pay the owner.
And this is still tied with a driveway permit, and they call it driveway permit, this is when this enacts.
Yes. That way, when they gain legal access to the property, they have to have a driveway permit.
that this cost is incurred at that time and that's paid.
Yes.
What is the, just so for my information for future, what is, are we, do the prorate share of the cost of construction? How do we come up with that?
So it goes out for bid, and then once the bid price comes in, and then we do the actual cost at the end, which is what we're doing here, certifying it. It gets divided up by the number of properties that are going to potentially attach to that road.
Number of properties, so it's kind of the same way we were doing the paving of,
Yes,
of roads. Okay, got it.
And, the reimbursement won't last more than 15 years. Does that mean after 15 years, then if no one has built a road on there, he's out his money?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and yeah, if nobody is.
If no one connects the driveway to the road within 15 years, then he's out.
Then he has no neighbors. That'd be good.
Yeah.
There's only four.
So it's 81,000 to have no neighbors. But yeah, and the town is not liable for any of this. I mean,
Correct.
he built
Yeah.
the road, he paid for it, it's
Yeah.
paying him back, but the town is not involved.
Yes.
Although we approved the road, correct?
Yes, we design it and do it.
All right. Any other discussion questions from anyone? Public? Any questions on this? We don't need a, do we need a?
Yes.
We do, good, okay.
I
All
make
right.
a motion, we accept the certification, the cost certification of Jellison Place.
All right, motion by Tom, second by Dan Rubino. All those in, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is the award. Bid number 2025-02, construction of Yeehaw Avenue. Jason?
I'm actually going to take this one.
Okay.
This bid is for the construction of Yeehaw Ave, which will connect to Turkham Drive and continue south. The owner has accepted the lowest bid in the amount of $68,204.69 from Parker Site Development, Inc. Once awarded and payment has been received by the applicant, the contractor will be notified to proceed. All money not expended on the road construction will be released back to the applicant. And as of yesterday, the applicant did pay in full. They are here in the audience if
Okay,
you have any
great.
questions.
He paid us $68,204.
Plus 20% contingency.
Oh, okay, okay.
So in total, the $81,845.63.
All right. You guys have any questions on this? So we have two folks building their own roads.
Yes. One is completed and one is potentially getting started after the award of bid.
You show us on that.
Wait, he's gonna.
So we do this coming south here, they'll extend this portion and then bring it south.
All the way down
All
to
the way
do?
down?
Yeah, they're taking it right here to these two properties. So this property will have access and this property will have access.
Okay.
And it's off of.
This is all from Turkham, and then
Oh,
this is back
Turkham.
on the street here.
Turkham's dirt, correct?
Yes,
So what are the extended to? Is it?
they're still within the limits.
They're still within?
And this is a dirt road also?
Yes.
Anyway.
If it was more, it'd probably have to be pavement, right? Yes, it was
Half a
extended,
quarter
yeah.
mile? Half mile? All right.
Any questions from the public? Yes.
Oops, I would love to see that map again. So this road's gonna go down, and then on the right-hand side, from what I'm looking at here, those are all owned by Brevard County. Those lots all there, and are those gonna be up for sale to the general public at some time, or is there an opportunity for me to invest and, buy cheap land that you're gonna build this nice road to, and we can all make a nice profit on that, or what is that, just gonna remain Brevard County?
Well, if the county still owns it, it's their land.
They don't sell it.
Right, as of now, they haven't sold it. No, they're
So-
supposed to buy that for preservation, so they need to preserve it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking the question.
Yeah, supposedly Brevard County owns some of the environmentally endangered lands, and so does the state. So there's, between the two of them, they own all that green that you see in that.
Because I wanted to be his neighbor.
Okay, let's move on. Again, we need,
Motion to approve.
Did I just want to just give an opportunity, did the person that's bringing this want to say something there in the audience? Did you want to speak on?
No, I was just saying I appreciate him asking that, because that's information that is good news to me, like, because that was part of, like, oh, hey, here's this piece and nobody else can come in
well,
over here.
are those lots owned by you?
Oh, I'm buying it.
Are they?
You
We're not sure that.
No, I've looked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's true. As far as we know, they're supposed to preserve the land they bought.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you never know.
Never know. Well,
Yeah. Okay, they're all Brevard County, okay? All right, so we had a motion.
Yes.
Rick? And you second. Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, purchase of new tractor. Jason.
So attached you will find a quote under the Sourcewell government contract for the replacement of the tractor, along with the necessary attachments that will ensure continual service to the town. The 2001 John Deere tractor, which was donated to the town in 2016, has been an essential asset to the town hall, park, and trails, serving the community well over the years. However, the status of the tractor has reached the end of its useful life to the town and needs a significant repairs. After careful consideration, it has become clear that it is no longer feasible to maintain the tractor due to its age and condition. It's appropriate to discuss the replacement at this time.
Did we have to go out for more than one bid, or?
We piggyback off the Sourcewell
Oh,
contract
okay.
that's already existing. There is no trade-in value on it. The only way that we would get rid of it is to auction it. Yes, we would try to sell it.
Does it run?
It currently runs, but engine block now does have an injector issue that's filled with block with diesel fuel. So it's
Okay. You don't want to sell it, then it's gonna blow
Oh,
up.
no, we will auction it, and we will put all the appropriate information into it, you know, that they understand that they've got a significant repair if they purchase it.
Okay, so are you showing, the total price is $40,000, and that is with a discount, a government discount, right?
$10,401.58.
Yeah, it looks like there's a $10,000 discount, right? Sourcewell discount, $10,400.
Yes.
Yeah. And we have a place to keep it. Are we gonna get it before you get the building built, or?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah, we do have the carport area that we'll be able to keep it out of the weather.
Okay. You have it now?
Yes.
So we're getting all the attachments that's listed?
Yes, that includes all the attachments that are listed. So we did find that previously, we have a finish mower, and then once we're getting into the thick stuff, it's actually breaking the belts and everything on the finish mower. So that's the reason for the bush hog up here.
Yeah, it's very good, and that,
So do you use that finish mower to do the trails?
We do.
So, yeah. So now you can use this thing, right, the tractor?
Yes, we'll use it at different locations as needed, depending on the vegetation.
I had a question from the audience. Ashley? State your name.
Oh, Ashlyn Karate,
It does not have an auger at this time. We don't do enough posts to warrant an auger on it.
I was just curious, what would it take to have you guys maybe consider adding an auger deck?
You would have to have enough warranted need, you know, 10 posts doesn't warrant an auger, or, you know, a minimal number like that.
How much is an auger, do you know?
I didn't price an auger out this time.
Do we have we have something that does an auger?
We have some postal diggers. We do.
They don't have manual auger.
We can buy another, it's not that.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
purchase a
gas.
handheld auger a lot cheaper than a truck attachment.
Yeah, we can rent them. Well, we have volunteers that have augers too. I guess, if, you know, I think if he felt that we needed it, he would have definitely priced it.
Cause it's sitting about a whole lot.
Are you getting a mulching head on that, like a beacon head?
No.
Don't we have, CDM do that?
Yes,
kind
we
of
have a
stuff?
contractor that mulches yours.
Yeah, we have a contract.
You need everything to have it, yeah.
Yeah.
How we, so budgets, just a budget for things like this. Maybe ask Jessica that question.
We would do a budget amendment for it if it's approved. It would be a capital project, so we just do a budget amendment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because we didn't budget for it, but we had the money in the
general
in
fund.
general fund.
Yes.
That's kind of what I was asking.
Yes, so
where's
we have
money?
general fund money,
okay.
but we would just have to do a budget amendment to bring it forward because we didn't budget it for this fiscal year.
Okay, anybody else? Any more discussion? I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the.
Second?
All right, we have Tom and Dan, Marino. Got it, you beat you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Town administrator evaluation. Jessica.
The town council shall review and evaluate the performance of the town administrator annually. The town shall provide the town administrator with a written statement of the findings of the town council and provide an adequate opportunity for the employee to discuss his evaluation with the council. The evaluation shall be used as consideration by the council in its deliberations and determinations on renewing the agreement and for salary and benefit increases. All council evaluations have been received and compiled into a spreadsheet for your review, which was attached in your packet.
And this is done every year.
Correct.
We have to evaluate him on a whole bunch of different categories. Based on, you know, his performance. And everyone was here for the past year except Rick, so I know he said he wasn't able to rate him because he wasn't here, so. But everybody else did provide input. And the highest score is 5. And it looks like Jason got 5s all the way around, everything. There was a few 4s. But in general, I think everyone thinks he's an excellent town administrator, and we're glad to have him. Didn't have any issues. Anyone have any comment?
No, thank you.
Nope, you're doing an excellent job. So any comment I have, just keep up doing it.
Okay. Rick, you should have some
That's not because I've done myself.
All right, then, Jessica, we need a motion to,
Yes, please.
You would have comments from the audience?
oh, sure, public, they have a chance to look at it. probably not. Anybody have comments? Oh, just want you to know, he works his butt off on behalf of this town, and we're just super glad to have him. And I'm sure, as you all interface with him, you'll find the same thing. Lois, you have something?
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Number statement.
Lois McManus, 4058 Yardwood Circle, Grant. I haven't known Jason for long, but his predecessor, Rick Hood, has left a great person for Grant-Valkaria. And Rick should be honored to have such a great person that he has selected to stand up for Grant-Valkaria. Jason has helped us with the memorial more than I can even imagine, let alone with the gals at Mandy and Jessica and Meridol and Ray. I can't say enough good things about him. He's taught me a lot of things. I didn't know construction. I've gotten educated. But he has unwaveringly helped us do everything and still continue with his job here at the town hall. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate you very much, and the town is very blessed to have a person like you sitting behind Rick's old desk. And thank you, Rick.
So well.
Yeah, you did train him well, but that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Lois.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd
We
just like
agree.
to say, Rick, Jason, the numbers that you saw on the evaluations that we all sent back show how much we appreciate all the hard work you do for the town and holding it together.
Maybe we should do 6s next year. He really just makes our job easy. I mean, he's always up on things. He gives us information. We're never in the dark. We can't say enough about him. So we'll be here all night if we don't shut up. So, all right, guys, I need a motion. I had a motion, right? There is a motion on the floor?
Yep. Motion is second.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of approving this appraisal? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Jason. Next, town administrator's report. Oh,
Question. I know in the past, typically at this point with the evaluation, you would also be talking whether or not Jason gets a raise.
is that true?
That is true.
We have a budget, we have a raised budget,
We do.
and it is
5%.
5%.
I looked into this with what we're paying. That's not a cost of living rate. That's half the cost of living rate. Cost of living rate is 10%, not 5%. And every other town pays their administrators more than we pay ours. We are the underpaid town in the county. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I was a headhunter, I would be here trying to hire him and the girls because we pay them less than anybody else pays. And I think it's time we bring their salaries up to standard. We can afford it now. We're making enough money into our bank account. Just our CDs alone, interest on one of the CDs would cover all the wages for the whole year, just the interest on CDs. So I don't see any reason why we should not raise his wages up to the standard, which is 10% for cost of living raise. My opinion.
Is 10% standard?
Well, I have no idea. I would be in favor of the 5% and discuss I think it should be an agenda item to discuss the salaries of all the employees and see if we have maintained cost of living over the years, that type of thing.
Yeah, with Rick, we could look into this a little bit more detail, right? Look at COLA, look at the comparisons. Think about it and look at comparisons with other towns, and maybe we do a workshop or something.
I think a workshop would be a great idea for the salaries of all the employees and see where they all stand. I've done salary surveys in the past. We found some people were, just not here, but when I was at West Melbourne, and, we found some people that were underpaid by almost 100%, others that were overpaid. So, I think it'd be a good idea to bring that back as a workshop item and then agenda it maybe, in the budget for the new fiscal year.
We're starting to work on the budget pretty soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when did you start working on it?
We typically start working on it in June.
Okay, so we can maybe have a workshop next
Before
month.
June, yeah.
Hey Rick, I think I'm underpaid by 100%. I'm a volunteer.
Well, you're earning. So Rick, are you suggesting that we?
I'd put a motion for a 5%, which was what was budgeted, 0 to 5, and then look at the salary survey and give them direction, once we do the survey of what we should do in this next fiscal year's budget.
Well, I think we need to do it before June.
Yeah, I would say, a May workshop or something, early May, would be, fine by me, but I think it's something, you have to look beyond Brevard County. I've learned that, doing salary surveys. You want to be competitive, but I guarantee you, what a manager does here, or a secretary does here, or whatever, they don't do the same thing as someone in 135,000 employees. I mean, Palm Bay's city manager is paid $250,000. And I don't know if they've had one in a long time that's done a great job. But, so you have to look at the comparable size cities. I think the League of Cities still does a salary survey. We could get access to that for the workshop, it'd be great. But if you look at a comparable size city, duties, responsibilities, that kind of thing, and get somewhere between Brevard County's average and the state average, and you're a little safer ground. Typically, you won't have someone with a large metropolitan area, for example, is not going to look at an employee at Grant-Valkaria because they're going to say, well, they don't do the same thing that we need done because we've got 16 libraries and we've got 150 people on the police department and that kind of thing. So you have to look at the whole picture, but I think we need to be somewhere comparable with Brevard County because that's who we're going to immediately compete with, and the state in general, of cities with a similar size population.
And same with Brevard, cities of similar size population in Brevard.
Yeah, you can look at Brevard as a whole, but I would put more emphasis on cities of a comparable size. And just to give you an example, we have one person here as a maintenance person. There's not a city in Brevard,
That's one person.
not even Malabar, has one person. So somebody has to supervise 10, 15, whatever, versus one. So that's why I say even similar populations don't give you the full picture. You have to look at what they offer. Do they have water? Do they have sewer? Do they have maintenance, or is it all contracted out in wells and septics?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. If you want to get comparable, but you do have to be cognizant of the surrounding cities, because they're going to be the first ones that would try to go after a good manager, a good finance director, a good town clerk. So you have to be compatible and comparable to your immediate area, but then you have to look at the statewide also.
Okay, so, Dan, did you?
Just briefly, I'll keep my comment for the workshop. I think the workshop's a great idea. I think we ought to look at also the approach, and maybe this time as well, is the salary that we keep as we move it up compatible, but I think we should look at doing bonuses. The simple reason, we know the value of our employees, and to give them a bonus of a high percentage, I feel, to compensate is rewarding that person. I don't wanna get into the trap of a higher, well, I want us to get into the range. I don't want to set something that's attractive and we lose Jason, and we bring in someone at that salary level. So I'm looking to keep us maybe on a more conservative salary with larger bonuses rewarding the person for who they are, what they do. And possibly have that rolled down to his employees, which Jason does set the salary of his employees, which is Jessica and Don.
I don't think with what we're paying Jason right now, we couldn't,
No, I'm not,
we
no,
had to
that,
replace him.
that's a word.
We would never get somebody to work for us for what we're paying Jason.
No, then we would advertise at a different level. If that was the case, we would advertise at a different
Why are
level.
we-
So I'm saying we would go up competitive to that, I would just look at, think about, for the workshop,
I
think
look at
about
all the
bonuses.
rest of our staff, what we pay our staff too. And
I
even
agree.
our staff are underpaid compared to what.
Absolutely.
If you were to take them out and hire somebody else, put an ad in for somebody, you'd never hire them for the wages that we are paying our workers.
I understand
Our
that.
workers are all
Okay,
underpaid.
okay, Dan,
Your-
what we're,
Actually, Dan, your chart was excellent, and that's why I'm very much more aware of this. So you did a great job, and I appreciate it, and I understand your point, and I think that's all for the workshop. All I'm asking is a
Right.
consideration of a bonus system. Once we bring it up to a comparable wage or salary, then we move on a bonus system to compensate at even a higher level.
and that
Just
is
to
a
consider.
workshop.
Right, a
Okay,
workshop
okay.
is.
Yeah, and the
So
one,
right now, I think there's a motion, Rick had a motion to, go ahead and do the budgeted 5%, right?
Yeah.
Is that the motion? I need a second. Talk, okay. So, that's it, the motion is to approve the 5% raise and have a workshop to, further study the salaries and all salaries. Okay? Is that the motion?
Yeah, I saw you write that down, Jessica, right, like, if we could start getting some information together for us to be able to compare League of Cities surveys and things like that, maybe to other towns, all that stuff, so when we come and we have some ammunition, and we can kind of look and see, and we can talk about it.
Maybe Rick can tell us what information we might.
well, I think the League of Cities under 10,000 is how they used to have them in groupings of, by population.
Oh, okay.
So we could get the information of cities under 10,000. See, one thing that we don't have here is ranges. No position here says that you're gonna pay between $30,000 and $60,000 for this job. You know, nowhere. And if you have that range, then what happens when you top out in your range, that's where, you know, I set my own range when I was a manager. You know, when I hit that top number, I made the suggestion that instead of continually adding it to my salary, that you do a bonus each year. And you did a salary a bonus every year because, you know, I just felt for the amount of employees I had and so forth, you know, I know Jason's, you know, you can't even compare me and Jason because he's also over the building department. And he does a lot of work, you know, with the permitting and the, you know, he's got 2, 3, 4 extra employees because of that. So, but you need a range and then you need to, a method to bonus people when they hit that range. And most cities, what they'll do is, you know, they'll have so much of the salary as a COLA, and then so much of the, as a, something for good work done. Okay, so you get a COLA, and, back in the day, you know, most of the cities were getting like a 3% of the raise was COLA, and then 2% was a bonus. You know, and all of it added to your salary. But we don't have salary ranges here. So.
Any more discussion? Okay.
I don't think we should settle on the wage for him now. If we're going to do a workshop, we shouldn't settle on a wage for him after we do the workshop.
Well,
That's it. Once we do the workshop and come up with an idea, what the wage we want to give you, that's when we should do it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna vote for it.
Not vote for what then?
For this 5% raise.
That's in, but it's in the budget.
That's what we budgeted.
We can't, yeah, we have to change the budget.
Well, it have to be next year's budget.
That'll be next year's budget.
That's it, it's in this year's budget.
What I would suggest is, if you go along with the 5%, that carries you through till September.
Right.
If you readjust salaries because of the salary survey and everything, you can adjust everybody's salary September 1st. You know, start of the October 1st, I'm sorry.
Well, that's what.
Everybody, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you could make that adjustment October 1st
For next.
to everybody. If Jason's being underpaid, if Jessica's being underpaid, whoever, if they're being underpaid, you make that adjustment in your new budget, and it immediately would give everyone a raise October 1st to make up for the deficit that they haven't had.
So I think that when you get
So
it,
this
we
would
do,
carry you through the rest of this fiscal year. October 1st, if we decide the salaries are all wrong, they can all receive a lump sum, or not a lump sum, but a new hourly rate beginning October 1st.
Including Jason.
Including Jason.
yeah, that's a good idea. Do the workshop first, have it just focus on salaries.
Yes.
And then when we propose a new budget, we've already got that figured out.
All right, so any comments from the public, and then we'll close this?
Andrew Van Hayes, Trader Lane. So I propose a variable compensation plan, and that compensation is based on a pulse survey. So every town employee should have to be responsible for a survey. Jessica and I have lots of interaction. She may not be super happy about it, but she is helpful, and I'd be happy to do a survey. And that survey is public input, right? It should be part of compensation. Exactly how the real world works outside of government, right? Employees don't work for the people, in essence, and we have a lot of appointed people up here that haven't won any votes in an election, right? I think that it is very reasonable to say, hey, listen, 25% of compensation is based on public input, right? It ties the employees directly to the citizens, right? They are super helpful, and they help the people that live here, they're compensated for it, right? This is not some back a napkin thing, right? This is a professional survey that is anonymous, right? Can't be cheated. We do this all the time in the corporate world. And that seems very reasonable. And it sets a goal, and you can make it, could be 15% or 25%, whatever, right? And if he overexcels, therefore it's not just your decision, right, on whether Jason gets 6s. There's a variable component here that says he's going to make the people happy. Every employee should do that. Look, if I have a negative reaction, and I don't even know the maintenance guys, right? But if I have a positive reaction, hey, listen, would you mind doing my pulse survey when it comes out? Right? Perfect. I think you should consider that, right? Rather than arbitrary, input from the council saying, well, we think he does a good job. Have you asked the people?
We get input from people all the time.
Well, I understand, but it should be a professional method of compensation. Right?
All right,
Thanks. Good input, we'll consider
We
for
consider
the
it in the
workshop.
workshop. Yes, ma'am.
Ashland Karate, 4450 Gumbo Limbo. I completely disagree because a lot of the job of town administrator, building department is to tell us things that we do not want to hear. And working for a company where, I get calls every day because people are having a really bad day. I mean, I think that could sway into how you're interacting with people. That could lead to situations of, oh, if I don't get this permit type, then, I'm going to give you a bad review. I think that the interactions that we have communicating is, a town and, people come in and talk, but I think to have an open survey for the public, generally you have more, people with different motives that are coming in to do those types of surveys more often than the general population. So a lot of times those types of surveys and things are distorted. Certainly something to consider at the, workshop, but I think basing a percentage of salary based on that type of public survey, especially anonymous, I don't know that that's necessarily a professional way to get that done.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we still have a motion and a second. Right, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we will schedule a workshop,
For May?
yeah, so you'll pick a day and send it out for the council? Or do you want to do
You
it
guys
now?
want to listen?
Yeah?
Well, I have you all in one place.
It got to be early May for me.
So if you guys want to stick with Wednesdays, you have a regular council meeting on the 14th. So you would have the 7th, the 21st, or the 28th. If you wanted to stick with a Wednesday.
Because I'm going to be, probably, plan is to be gone the 19th through the 26th out of town. So, yeah, the 14th.
Does May 7th work with everybody? 6 o'clock? Yeah. Okay. So we'll plan to have the workshop then. So May 7th, 6 o'clock here at Town Hall.
Okay. Please remind us.
I will.